Hi, this is Meredith Lego, and I'm doing a series of channel teachings from Ascended Master Hilarion. And for those who haven't seen some of the earlier videos, channeling is basically the process of being able to connect with through quantum entanglement, energies and consciousness that may not be in this dimensional plane. You actually can channel sort of beings in this dimensional plane as well. But in this particular case, I'm channeling somebody who's not in this dimensional plane. And Ascended Master Hilarion is basically a part of a group, I guess you'd say, of beings who are ascended in the sense that they don't necessarily have to go through the reincarnational loop. So they've ascended past that point. And there's other beings that are starting to, I guess you could say, connect more with humans to bring forward different teachings or wisdoms in an effort to help us all sort of raise our consciousness at this time. So in some of the past videos, I've covered topics on just starting to set up the basic concept of the quantum or source field and how that is so critical to the interchanges of energies and consciousness to even like facilitate what I've been doing to be possible, as well as really to facilitate any of us being able to sort of tap in to different energies through more psychic sensitivities. Then I went into the concept of mirroring and how when you essentially are thinking about something and have an intention around it, you actually can put that intention or that thought into manifestation. Especially when it's charged with energies, and based upon the vibrational frequency that you're sort of emanating at that time, excuse me, as energy is basically what you'll have mirrored back to you. And this also is all being done inside of sort of a kind of quantum holographic construct that we basically exist in as a field of consciousness to give us the illusion of sort of physical reality around us. And then I basically got into more of the concept of polarity, which is really just extreme differences in energy, vibrational energies. And it's through the concept of having or basically experiencing in a world, if you will, that has extreme differences of energy, vibrational frequencies, like hot and cold or light and dark, that we're able to basically understand and maneuver, I guess you could say, in a world in which we have free will choice of what we want to experience. So those were kind of the last few series of lessons. Now what I'm going to do is dive into really the concept of how it is that when we basically come in as consciousness and choose to have sort of a physical manifestation experience, we actually do go through a process of sort of setting up and planning out a little bit of what we want to experience and what sort of lessons we want to work on. So the next few series of videos that are centered around this particular topic, we'll get into that. And some of it, is, in terms of what I learned, is some pre-planning that we do, and some of it really is based upon the actual sort of energetic vibrational frequency that we give off in everyday life from kind of moment to moment to moment to moment. That really does also dictate what we experience as well. So diving into the first question, what I tend to do for those who haven't seen is I basically channel information from Ascended Master Hilarion either during meditation or just after meditation. So my sort of my state of being, I guess you could say, is more in a kind of a zero neutral point, and my brave link frequencies are more in sort of a state to be able to connect in. So in this particular session, I asked Hilarion the question, please explain the science of reincarnation. So I sort of started very broad with that open question. And his answer basically is, as the soul exits the body, energy in the form of pure consciousness is attracted to the next step. So I'm assuming what he meant here is that as the soul exits the body, let's say after a death process, energy in the form of pure consciousness is attracted to the next step. This vibration is based on the unlocking of DNA codes in the lifetime and the emotional, physical, and mental traumas endured during the being's collection of lives. And so, unpacking this, basically, again, we are nothing but energy, and we are energy that's sort of vibrating a different vibrational frequency. And certainly as we kind of go out, let's say after the death process, we're going to be vibrating, let's say, at a certain vibrational frequency. And based upon that vibration, it'll start to, I guess, guide us down to the next path of what we're going to experience. And some of that vibration is really dependent upon the experience that we just had. So if we had a very wonderful experience and we were able to really master control over sort of our thoughts and emotions and not let the everyday traumas sort of affect us and be more at a neutral point, we'll have a very different experience as we kind of go on to the next step than if we sort of are entering into that next step with a, let's say, a lower vibrational experience that was more founded in sort of, let's say anger or depression or fear. He goes on to say that the being will experience a reality based on the belief system and energetic vibration. If, for example, a soul vibrates at a lower vibration with many unresolved emotions of depression, fear, anger, sadness, or etc., that soul will pass into a dimensional place resonating at the same frequency. That being will experience a denser reality and may attract energies or life forms vibrating with similar emotions. This is essentially, quote unquote, purgatory for that being. So we are never sent to a hell, so to speak, by an all-judging God. We put ourselves into an expanded environment that matches or mirrors the vibration we are emanating into the field. So that was pretty interesting, and it's just another really powerful lesson of the importance of just be mindful of sort of what energetic frequencies that you're putting out there, because in this sort of like holographic construct, even it seems to exist even after we go on to the next phase, you still will continue to have your experience sort of mirrored back to you. So your like outer experience is really a reflection of your inner experience. Consciousness with a less dense pattern and awareness of life after death transmutes or transitions into a dimension that matches a much higher vibrational state. Then he says this, a word of advice: release all unresolved emotions nested in the body and mind. You will have a very different experience upon the transition to the life after death. And that's kind of interesting. At the end point, he basically says the life after death. So we have obviously, in many of our cultures, been taught to kind of not think that way. But it's just another affirmation or kind of reminder that it continues to go on. I think the other thing that was good advice for me, especially because I channeled this back in 2020. And I was just curious about the whole process, was just the idea of really working on trying to work through any traumas, any sort of triggers that you have in this life. Like if there's something bothering you, there's something tied to that. It might be something that, you've experienced in this life. Most of our kind of triggers or traumas are probably nested in experiences we might have had as a young child. And in some cases, they could be stuff that occurred in a past life. So what he's saying is really dive into that and work on cleaning that up. Because the more that you sort of master your understanding of the cause and the effects of all that, the more that you're going to clear your energetic field, and you'll have a different experience as you kind of go on to that life after death. Then he says the match or mirroring process is much like content explained earlier in the book. And he's referencing the book that I basically published with some of this material last year. The being/consciousness will upload information into the morphogenic field from the life just lived and will download information to instantaneously remember all that is for them as a fractal of source. You remember past lives, what you hoped to accomplish in your last life, so that you can compare if you were successful in the lesson or if another lesson with another life, with the same lesson is needed. So I'm guessing this kind of references the whole concept of sort of seeing your life flash in front of you, or seeing sort of a book, or possibly tapping into the Akashic record, of then having access to sort of all the experiences that you've had as a fractal of source, and being able to kind of process that and think through, okay, so, I came in here wanting to learn a certain lesson. Did I essentially achieve that, or do I need to have another run or go at it in order to sort of master that? And, it's sometimes I think, gee, I can't even imagine doing that again. But apparently our higher selves, really want to, put ourselves in roles or situations in order to, let's say, overcome or to experience or to teach and to learn. So that was really all the content that he, provided, let's say, on the science of reincarnation. Sometimes it kind of abruptly ends because, let's say, I have to go do something, physically in this reality, like go and cook dinner or something like that. But that's really all that was offered. But there's going to be other videos that kind of sequence out additional content on this. I just want to try and keep these videos short, so you have small snippets of information to learn from. So with that, hope you enjoyed this particular content that starts to frame up the idea of how we sort of plan out our incarnations. And if you like the content, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and kind of sign up for those the notifications by hitting the bell button, I believe it is, or the alert button, so that you'll know when I post more videos. Thanks, and have a great day.